Yeah, so we are on the day 10, the last day of the session. Sunilji has already done the revision for the yoga part of it, and that's a very important part for using all the memory techniques. So, what we are going to learn today, or revise and finalize and confirm to us what we have learned, I'm going to show you the online brain map software demo. Then, how should you take care of yourself for better results before exams? We'll revise what all we learned, we'll revise the memory techniques, and I'll give you some exam writing tips. And we'll also do little revision about mathematics. Because yesterday we learned some things about math, but I told you I'll explain you how comprehension can be used effectively, then you can solve word problems better. So with one example, I'll explain you how we actually use the techniques which we have learned for mathematics. So which techniques can be used for mathematics? Please note down this, those who feel and those who don't feel maths is important also. So maths is basically a left brain process. Right brain is very little required for maths. Maths is completely logical brain or left brain process. So we use the technique of recitation for tables and formulas. We use the technique of mnemonics for the rules for solving, like BODMAS I told you yesterday. Then we use picture reading for geometry. If you have shapes like triangle, sphere, and circle, and the science about or math about the geometrical shapes. So you will use picture reading for the diagrams, and then the basic formulas you can do by using recitation. Then point structure for all the concepts in math. You must have that. I'll show you some brain maps for math. And then you'll use comprehension for word problems. So yesterday we have used recitation technique for tables. We did the table of 23. So today we will learn how comprehension can be used for word problems, and in general how math can be looked into for solving problem structure. And mind maps for each lesson with lots of subpoints will basically be formulas in the maths brain map or mind map. So I will show you few of the mind maps for different topics of math so that you will know that maths mind map is having lesser text but more of formula. So let's understand the first step, the steps for solving any math problem, anything, anytime, any standard. What steps we should follow? The first step is understand the basic concepts. That could be simple things like knowing what are the variables there and what are the formulas. Like if you have x, y, or if you are using theta, if you it's trigonometry, or it's complex numbers, or it's real numbers, what kind of lesson you are studying, it will have basically some variables and some formulas, and the relation between the variables is called formulas basically. So those basic concepts you should know. Next, you should be able to solve substitution type of problems using the formula. So what it will have is, you will have some solved problems given in the text. You go through that and then go to exercise. It will simply need you to know the formula, substitute the variable values. So out of few variables, some variables will be given, substitute their values, find which is not given. So exercise would basically be on finding out the variables values which are not given and substituting the values which are given. Third is word problems. So once you have understood basic concepts, you have solved some substitution type of problems, you go next to the word problem. For a word problem, you have to do comprehension and then map the variables to the things or quantities which are specified in the word problem as real life situation. Convert it into mathematics. We call it mathematical model. And then Set a relation between the variables by knowing the word problem's comprehension, the basic formulas, two things you connect, set the relation between variables. Once you have set the relation between variables, choose appropriate formula which is required depending on what kind of a variable set you got, solve it, and finally interpret it because you want to come back to the word problem which is about real life problem. So this is something called mathematical modeling in general. Now, let's take a simple, very simple example of.
Can you please show
Go
the
back.
last?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Done? Okay. So let's take very simple, very simple, because all of you belong to different levels, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this I thought would be almost done by all of you, at least seen somewhere and would be able to do it. So the cost of a pencil is 25 cents more than the cost of an eraser. If the cost of 8 pencils and 10 erasers is $12.80, find the cost of each. Now I have specifically written the question which would be given otherwise into a continuous statement into 3 different parts. This is the first level of comprehension which you have to do is divide it into different sets of sentences. Then first look for objects inside that word problem. We'll call them as variables. And why we call them as variables? Because their values will change and we want to find their values. So variable is whose value keeps changing. So whose value can change basically. So inside the word problem, you have to look for objects. Now, if you look here, which are the objects specified? Pencil, and it's going to be cost of the pencil. So we'll not call pencil as an object for us, but mathematically, what is that we look for object as? Cost of the pencil and call it as X. To convert it into mathematics, you have to transform the word problem to variables. So we'll call pencil cost as X, eraser cost as Y. So now inside that word problem, wherever you see the word pencil, you can cross it as X. Wherever you see the word eraser, you are going to write it as Y. So how many variables we have is 2 variables. Now once you know there are 2 variables, it actually triggers in your mind, if you have by hearted the formula, that 2 variables will need 2 equations. And now you know which formula to use. So the first comprehension, you find out the objects, find out how many are those objects, how is the relation between them, is it linear, quadratic, or bigger than that. If it says it's not talking about multiplication between the objects, we say it's a linear relationship. And now you have understood that we have 2 variables. So to get a unique answer, you need 2 equations. That's the basic of math, solving this kind of a problem. Now we'll replace the first line which was there in the question. The cost of pencil, I told you we have decided to call pencil as X. So in your sentence, wherever you see pencil, you write there X. Wherever you see eraser, you write there Y. Now, how do we comprehend? While comprehending, look for words which tell you which operation is to be done. So more than, less than, added to, together. These words tell you which operation to be done. That's why I have marked it in another color. So the cost of pencil, that is X, is more than. So when it says more than, you have to do the operation of addition. If it was less than, we would have done the operation of subtraction. So this sentence is converted into a mathematical formula. X is equal to Y plus 0.25. I have written it in dollars. You could keep still in cents. Then one of the two, like one is given in cents, the other is given in dollars. Either you keep both in cents or both in dollars. Next line, it says the cost of 8 pencils and 10 erasers. Because 8 is coming along with x, it will become like a coefficient of x. 10 is coming along with y, it will become coefficient of y, and the word and tells you its addition. So 8x and, which is plus 10y, is 12.80. So two statements in the word problem we comprehended into two lines of mathematical equation. So this is going to be the comprehension part in mathematics. It's not going to be finding out points or subpoints, but converting the line statement into a variable statement. Now you got two equations, x equal to y plus 0.25 and 8x plus 10y equal to 12.80. Substitute from 1 into 2 and get the value of y. So you get the value of y as 60 cents if you do this calculation which is shown therein. Once you get the value of y, put it in the equation 1 and you get the value of x. So now you have solved it completely. So understand the comprehension when I say for word problem, it basically means three basic steps. Find out the number of objects, call them by variables, find the relation between the variables which is given in the statement. Relation between variables is the mathematics comprehension. That relation between variables will tell you which formula to use. Use that formula, find the values of the variables, you get the answer. So word problems will not be difficult if you understand these steps of comprehension. Now, I hope you don't have any doubts in that, because that will need a lot of explanation per concept. So let's look at some online mind map software. I have given you the link here. Please note down the link. There are variety of such online softwares available, but I'll show you one which I feel it's very simple and straightforward. So let's look at the you're able to see the screen?
Yes, a little more.
Little bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So now see, the link showed me and it gave me the tools. Now what it says, press space or double click here to edit. So this is a space which actually starts putting up your chart. You have on the left side here variety of sets. Like you have here insert root node, that is the center one. Suppose I click here and write. Let's take the story of one of the stories which we already did. Can you turn your pages and find out that story where we said the
Harry
dog,
the
which one?
Harry the
dog?
Bhai. Yeah.
Dog which was searching for the master. Okay, so
Yes.
let's write dog in the middle. Okay, I'll increase the font. Okay, so I wrote dog in the center. Now to the dog, first he went and found out the first master. So I want to insert a child to this. So if I do this, it gives me a link automatically. Now who was the first master dog searched for? Was the wolf? No. Okay, let's write somebody. Now if I have the wolf as the first master, I increase the font. Now to wolf, if I want to write what were the qualities of wolf and I want another, I want a child to wolf, I can go like this. So I write here some XYZ. I'm just writing something. Now I want another child. Who was, to this also I can add another and say the wolf also did some activity with the dog. He did one more activity with the dog. We can add like this. Now what you observe here is you don't have to do positioning. If you add more, it positions itself. That's the beauty of this software. If you are doing it on a drawing paper, you have to do this planning in mind before. Now to dog, if I want, I go back to the level and say add. So it adds another thing whom I am putting. Now to this, I give another child. Again, I go back. I have two information about this. I go back to dog, get another child, add things. Go here, get a child, add. So the design automatically keeps coming. You just have to say what you want. Now to this, if I want something to be added, I can still do that. So the whole beauty of this is you have some specified types of charts inside and it keeps getting you addition. It will do left, right and keep making sure that the balance, symmetry, everything is put in. Once you have completed it, you can then take a print and you have it on your paper.
Excuse me.
Yes,
I can't like get to the website. Can you send it in the chat so I can?
yes, I will send it in the chat. Oh, what happened?
Mind mup.
Yeah, I can do that too.
Yeah, you can see that. It's https://app.mindmup.com/map/new/
Thank you.
Okay, you put it on your own laptop or you can put it on your phone and see. It would be better if you take it on laptop. It allows you to add as many, if you want to add a picture, then you can go and say, I want to insert, attach a file, you can add, adjust the notes, you can change their positions, you can add pictures, sort of different things are possible. Change the style of the node, you can change, you want to connect, say this point has also connection with this point. So you can add a link between the two. There's a line. So they also have some connection, you can add a line. Then you want to reset, you want to see only one part of it. There are lots of, you children will be much better to handle these softwares because you are more conversant and comfortable handling these things. So I can add a picture. I saw that, insert child's image. So I have to select some image from pictures. Let's take this picture and say open. So the picture gets connected to it. So if you have stored all some pictures in your this thing, it connects it to that. So if you are doing history, if you are doing biology, you want to add a butterfly, you want to add a tree, it will just allow you to do at which point you want, that you can even move if you make a mistake. You can go here and say, suppose this was a mistake you feel, that this addition you should not have done, go here and say delete, it will delete it. So you don't have to even use an eraser. You don't have to think about positioning because you are not sure about how much of the space on the chart you need. You can save this and you can print them. You can keep it with you, and variety of designs are also available. If you do little research into it, keep playing with it, you will know how to modify. So this is a standard design which is generally used, but there are different designs which are available. Okay, so if you go to this, there are more things. So any doubts about this? Unless you do it yourself, you will not understand what's happening. But basically you get the center point. That's your main title of the lesson or the chapter. To that you put main points, as it will always be, this is the main important thing, that you add a child. Now you have to click on which node you want a child be there and click. So if I'm on this node, you can see here it is little blue dots will be there. And if I put the second one, it adds a child there. And I can type. So whomever you want to add a child to, it will keep adding. And see now if I add something here, how it will do its own adjustment very nicely. That's the whole beautiful thing. Now if I add a child here, one line it will not need anything, but if I'm adding one more child, it starts doing its own rearrangement if required very beautifully. And that's the beauty of using the software, which is now available. Some 7-8 years before when we started teaching, soft copy of this was not possible. Now it's a very easy thing and it's free. So you don't have to even pay for this. A lot of such varieties are available. Okay. And I found it very interesting. You work with it. You first do your point structure in paper. Don't do any mind map drawing. Have the point structure done on paper. Keep converting it. You will get ideas to put points at appropriate place. You can add pictures. You can have more connections. You can add electric circuits, sound. I'll show you some maps made out of such software. Okay. So shall we go back to our presentation? Is this clear to all of you now? So you have got the link. I think Janavima has shared it in the group. Not yet. Okay. So I'll share it by end of.
Yeah, I'll do that. I was putting here the chat for Anushka.
Okay.
So I'll do that. In the
You
group
can
too.
put for everyone in the group
Yeah.
so that they can.
Yes.
look at it.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So thank you so much. It's something interesting and you can do all your point structures which you have made into a soft copy and take a print and put it in your room. If you feel that's a very important topic or you are having an exam coming Monday, make a chart like this, put it in your room, keep looking at it. Without your knowledge, your brain will put all the information into subconscious, will put the appropriate connections between the data. When you go to exam, you will be surprised that your brain just pops it out like popcorn. All the concepts will keep coming to you, popping it as and when required very comfortably because brain works better when information is in subconscious rather than conscious. And we keep thinking, mugging it up, trying hard just before the exam one night. Many children today learn to do night out before exam. That is always into your short-term memory and after exam it is lost. But if you do this much before the exam, it goes into your long-term memory and remains with you for a longer time. Okay, so let's go back. Yeah. Nice. So what care you should take for yourself before exams for better results? So I am saying better exam results, but in general for having a better educational process for yourself. So these some activities you must do regularly, irrespective of exams. So first thing is meditate daily as instructed by Sunil ji. Do pranayam, it should be daily. Understand the word daily there. Eat brain health improving foods. We had a very important session for you. What are brain health improving foods? Have a lot of protein food, have a lot of glucose. Those children who feel little tension before going to exam or get some kind of cramps in the stomach or butterflies in the stomach, the best thing for parents to do is give them a chocolate, because the chocolate has a very important factor that it soothes the brain and brain tension, fear goes down, or anything, something which is having glucose. So fruit juice, or children generally like to eat chocolate, which has a lot of sugar. Dark chocolate also does a good job, but chocolate with little sugar makes it better. So only that time eating chocolate is okay. But because there is exam tomorrow, today eating chocolate doesn't help anything. Next is have sufficient sleep. 6 to 7 hours of sleep is sufficient, good, required. More is okay, but less is not okay. And have clear ideas about your goals, could be short term and long term, what Sunil ji has called you as vision. So for those who have confusion about what my goals are, don't have very long-term goals if you are confused, but have a short-term goal and say that, and it's okay to keep changing your goals, keep expanding your goals, because if you have a goal only, you can expand your goal. But if you don't have any goal, there is no way of expanding it. So have short-term goals and keep changing as the environment around changes. And have more knowledge-seeking attitude than making good marks in the exam. This is also for parents, because marks in exam is like entry into a corporate kind of thing, but then sustaining there needs knowledge. So if at all you are not knowledge seeking only for exam, if you're studying, it's going to be tough for you later. Then respect the books and teachers. Books in the sense, all forms of information processing which you get through. And discuss doubts with parents and teachers. If you keep the doubt in your mind, it piles up with issues, and then the original doubt remains deep inside, and you keep thinking that I don't like this subject, I have fear about this. All that happens when few doubts are kept like that only and not discussed openly and cleared it up or cleaned it up. Play and recreation time is very, very important. I'm going to show you how you should have some kind of relaxed time between and what all you can use. But it's very essential. Completely study, whichever standard you are in will actually tire your brain. It is essential that you have some recreation. Then next, these are some things which you should do regularly. The second part of it is complete the study of the most difficult subject first. Our tendency of human beings is, if I say choose the subject which you like, will be the first one we'll choose, but it should not be done that way. Whatever you are not liking among all, there would be some percentage. So highest percentage which you give to that subject which you don't like, complete it first. That is a better way of choosing. Then revise using mind maps. For each lesson, one mind map. If you are studying a particular subject, it has 10, 12, 15 lessons. You should have 15 pages of mind maps before the exam. If the subject is difficult for you, you should finish the mind maps first. Keep putting it inside your memory. It will get into subconscious. That not liking will convert into liking without your knowledge. That how it started becoming very easy for me now. And practice writing answers for using point structure. This is especially for kids who are in 8th, 9th, 10th class. That articulation from points to converting into a long answer or short answer, depending on number of marks, is a practice which you'll have to do. But what you need to remember in your brain is only points. Articulating it, practicing it at the time of exam, it will be much easier for you to write long and short answers. Then diagrams, you use the picture reading technique and practice the important diagrams whichever your teacher tells, and they should be sufficient for you. Recite poems or tables whenever required using the technique, and recite formulas for maths and science regularly. Put them like a calendar in your room. All the formulas for this year, whatever important, paste them around in your room and make sure that that gets into your brain. Remove all the photographs which you have put around, put all the formulas for some time, and it will become easier for your brain to assimilate when it is required. And trust your memory capacity. This is what I was telling your parents also yesterday, that you should never tell yourself, I may forget, maybe I'll not remember, maybe this will happen. You don't keep feeding that negative input to your brain, because brain is a good servant. Whatever you tell, it assumes that it is correct. Brain doesn't know what is no. It only knows to take whatever you give. So trust that you can do it and tell yourself always that I have a good memory, I remember, I can do it, and I am going to do it. Now, along with your proper use of techniques which you have learned in last 10 days, 10 sessions, what matters is the
Excuse me,
sixth-
can you go to the last page?
Yes. The left side, what is
Oh, yeah.
written is what Sunil ji did, right side is what I did. Okay, so now this is called 6 pillars of brain health. Most of the parents and most of the human beings are always interested in food and their body's health. But rarely we talk about health of your brain. Very, very rarely people understand that brain also has to be given enough attention like we give to our stomach. So lifestyle is something which is very, very important for your brain. So what you eat, what you drink, how much you exercise, how much you sleep, how much you socialize, all these things are important because your brain is actually the CPU of your operations. It remembers everything and it instructs you according to what you do. So physical exercise is important. Don't sit continuously for 3-4 hours. They say in yoga that every 45 minutes your prana changes from Ida to Pingala, left to right, right to left. So every 45 minutes you must move and take a round, go out, breathe fresh air, come back and continue to study. And that is why your classroom sessions also should not be more than 45 minutes, they say. So physical exercise, you may not have full time on depending on weather. You may go to gym, you may do pranayam, you may do skipping, but continuously sitting for study is not a good idea. Don't think that's a good thing to do. Many parents also say, now I'm telling you next 2 hours, you're not going to move from this place. The moment you are sitting more than 45 minutes, the brain has actually shut. And whatever you are doing is forgotten very easily. So make sure that you take a break after 45 minutes, drink a glass of water, go around for 2-3 minutes, and then come back and continue to study. Break doesn't mean go and play cricket, but it's a break of 3 to 4 minutes is sufficient. Next is food and nutrition. Eat smart is very, very important. Sunil ji has already done a session for you that what is good food for brain. If you want, we'll share those slides with you in the group because parents will need to know what food to give. Sometimes before exam, giving good food, especially fruits, matters a lot to the brain being alert. And that brain being alert means you don't eat more tamasic food which contains a lot of maida, which contains like your pizza. They all settle in your stomach and stop the brain to be actually functioning to its best. So eating dry fruits, protein is very, very important. You can have paneer, you can have all that protein food is good. Medical health, if somebody has medical issues, make sure they are taken care of. And I'll tell you, medical issues do not hamper your brain processing because your brain is aware about your body. You should remember Stephen Hawking, the great physicist whose nothing in the body used to work except his brain. So if you feel I'm sick, don't worry about your sickness because your brain is very much aware about your body's sickness. You make sure you take appropriate medication, you take the rest required, but brain function will happen understanding your body's needs and allow that to do it that way. Next is sleep and relaxation. Rest well, that is 6 to 7 hours of good sleep in the night, along with good 10 minutes meditation regularly done makes your brain to be more better functioning for long years. Next is mental fitness. Your mind, that's the most important thing. That's what Sunil ji did sessions for you on leader, follower, responsibility, vision. They matter a lot. And the most important thing as a student is discuss your issues with somebody. Don't keep them with you. Don't discuss it with your peers because your peers must also be going through similar such issues. So discuss with your parents, discuss with your teachers, discuss with your counselor if there is one in the school. But make sure you clean up your mind. Don't hold into your mind anything because your troubled mind will trouble the brain. And social interaction is very, very important. Stay connected in various ways, but that doesn't mean you should take away too much time to be connected. But it's essential to be having good amount of connectivity with friends, with relatives, with whatever possible ways, maybe online, offline, physical, virtual, whatever way. But be connected, but don't get confused by the connections. That's a very thin line which you will have to be very carefully holding about. Next is what all we learned in last 10 sessions. We learned about how the structure of brain is, how 5 senses put information to brain and where they are situated in. Then types of memory, the sensory memory, short-term, episodic and long-term are the ones important as students for you. Learning styles, we saw 3: visual, auditory and kinesthetic. Whatever was your learning style, depending on that natural instinct you had, some ways of liking some subject, liking some technique, and that's perfectly fine. But we did understand the left brain and right brain, and these two learning styles and the two hemispheres have a lot of connections to do the balancing between. So if you were having one particular learning style more prominent and your either left or right brain was also prominent, we did the brain gym, which actually balances the 3 learning styles, become balanced, and left right brain also gets into communication. So doing brain gym is a very important thing for those who have issues of any one of the styles becoming too much dominant. If there is a good balance, then life is going to be much easier for you. So brain gym will improve the coordination between left-right brain, which impacts your learning style. Then food for brain, it's important to have protein and glucose. We have learned this. And in study techniques, we learned a lot of it: brain map, recitation, visualization, and 9-10 different techniques we studied. We'll look at them separately now. So we learned about 10 different memory techniques: the visualization, comprehension, story making or storytelling, from the point structure, mnemonics or acronyms, recitation, picture reading, flashcards for spellings or flashcards for definitions, speed reading and brain map. Speed reading and brain map or point structure, these 3 things are common to every kind of learning you do. So now let's have understanding about which technique is useful for which of the required study things. So if you are listening to a history lesson, which technique would be useful, you tell me. If you are reading a history lesson, will you use visualization? Will you use mnemonics? Will you use recitation? Which is the most prominent technique which you definitely will need? Can anyone tell me? It's like a test for you. Okay, for story reading or for long answer type of questions, or for 1 mark, that is short answer type of questions, or math tables, or speech in an assembly or speech in a competition, or poem or math formulas, songs for your annual day you want to sing, or science diagrams you want to do, spellings you want to learn. All of them have very specific techniques which you can use. Now, these techniques will actually help you to do those things separately. So that is what I told you in the very beginning of the session, that you cannot have one learning style or one studying style for every subject. Every style you will have to adopt to different styles because every subject is different. Inside a subject, there are a variety of things. So have this understanding very clearly. It will make it very easy for you to learn all those things much comfortably and remember it for long. Now I will show you different mind maps for social science maths made using the software. Look at this. So this is for rulers and buildings from history, the social study part. So you get a center title and you have some main topics which are written on, and there are sub-points which are written into paragraphs. You could divide them into smaller, you could write it like this. They are inside the box, they are written with bullets. This is the one for geography, life in the temperate grasslands. You look at the number of, you observe what happens, the way the drawing is done, it is perfectly using the software only. So it's much easier, the placing, neatness, cleanliness automatically comes. The next is about physics. What you observe here is the number of subpoints, the number of main points is increasing. As was history was less, geography increased little, science it increased much more. This is again physics with sound, and there are pictures added. So you do the design, and at the end of it, you can add variety of pictures. It becomes very easy with that software. This is about chemistry, the metals and non-metals. So look at the last parts of it are some kind of equations. So chemistry has those balancing equations and all. So chemistry also contains more of equations than physics would contain. This is again pictures in chemistry. This is mathematics.
Ranima,
Yes.
Sahas is asking which software was used for these diagrams.
These I have taken from internet, so I don't know,
Okay,
but you
okay.
can use that same software because it has all these variety of colors and different shapes and connections. All that software also allows you this. I have tried doing that.
Okay, thank you.
So this is what I wanted you to see, the math brain map. Now it is about whole numbers, it has few concepts, but you see the ending parts of it is all equations or formulas. And that's where the mathematic brain map helps you. If you make it, you don't have to by heart the formulas separately. All these formulas will be part of the brain map. You keep seeing it every day. It will automatically get into, but you can recite these formulas once using the recitation technique and see them every day. They will get into, because math, the textbook may have 10 to 12 lessons, and each lesson having around 10 to 12 formulas. It becomes, as you grow in your standard 8, 9, 10, the number of formulas keep increasing, and the confusion in the student's mind is always that for that formula I substituted this formula and I got the answer wrong. So that not to happen, you need to use recitation, by heart it, put it in the mind map, put it in your room. This map can be printed and pasted. Keep seeing it again and again. The formula will get into, because what you study in 8, 9, 10th mathematics, if it is the Indian system, definitely, but I hope same happens in the other countries, because these basics of maths is required at every level in your life, whether it's competitive exam, whether it's entry into any job processing or any research you want to do. Everywhere these basics, without 8, 9, 10th class maths, you will not be able to survive any other. So this is another with geometry. So what you see here is there are some shapes which can be added as diagrams there, and then write the formulas. So the software allows you to do it very neat and clean. Doing this on a drawing chart would take actually a lot of time. So many times you may have to erase for just adjusting the things. So I prefer this, kids can take the software and make such maps from the chapters which you have to study further. Okay, so this again, mensuration, the perimeter area of the geometrical shapes. So lots of formulas. If you see at the end of all the tips are formulas. This is algebra, only formulas, nothing much written also. Only the main points written and then formulas, the exponents, laws of exponents, powers, and use of exponents. Nice. So what are the observations from all these charts which we saw, the brain maps we saw? The language maps needed fewer main points. The social studies map needed more sub-points. So it had more, about a point, there was a lot more written. Science maps can use pictures for effective use, and sub-point level, if you put pictures, You don't have to write too much text. The picture will explain a lot what you would have otherwise written into paragraphs. For mathematics map, few subpoints will be there, but lots of formulas as subpoints or the tail ends of the mind map will be only formulas. So you see, each one of them has something different. And that is what you have to understand, that each style of the subject is different. So your learning style also should be different. Your memorizing style should be different. But you don't have to fear about any subject once you understand the nuance of that subject, that I should know this. If I know that, the subject is going to be not very difficult for me. So now let's look at few tips for exam, which are my experience of last 30 to 35 years being into field of education. What students actually do mistakes or what they don't do, so that, because all students study the same thing, all students go through the same 1 year of experience, but then everyone at the end performs differently. And that perform is something which matters a lot, and we never prepare ourselves to perform. Like an Olympic gold medalist tells you that he or she would not have performed that day if they would not have put the hard work regularly every day for last few months, years or days. So that performance of one day of your exam is not about what you do in those 3 hours, but also matters what you do before those three. So what I told you now, till now, was what you do before. But now what I'm going to tell you is what you should do inside those 2 to 3 hours of your exam. So please note down these things as parents also, because many of you sometimes don't even know how to guide your child so that they write the exam well. So previously, for last 9 sessions, what you have taught you is how to prepare yourself for the exam. Now this is inside the exam, few tips so that it covers everything and you get better performance at the end. So there are basically 5 types of questions in any subject, and nothing more than this generally comes in. So the first type of question is gathering information like facts, definitions, or procedures. So the questions will be one word, one line, or they will be like what is, that kind of questions, or something like if so and so, fill in the blank, that. So the question will be asking you that particular fact. Where will these facts be available to you? Where will these definitions be available to you? One is, for definitions, you can use flashcards. The facts or the fill in the blanks or one word or one line answers will be available to you in your brain map as your sub points, which are the tail ends of your brain map. So if you remember the brain map, automatically all these you can answer very comfortably. Second is, it probes your thinking, where it asks you to explain, elaborate, clarify. It wants you to do some articulation around a concept which is informed. So this is not one word, one line, or fill in the blank kind of question, but it is something which is asking you to elaborate. So it's asking you some points to be explained. So here you need to use the story making or storytelling from the point structure which you have. So it is a place where you need to write in your own words what you understood, what you felt, that kind of question. In lower classes, such kind of questions are very little, maybe 1 or 2 questions are asked just to know, to distinguish between ordinary student and a good student. 1 or 2 questions would be asked, but as you go higher in your education ladder, such questions will increase, and then you are into more of performing better only if you can understand, know what is to be put in, and then write the story making appropriately. Second is making the math part of it. So it could be science, it could be geography, it could be math, but actually the formulas, substitution, and making the relationship between the variables, all that will come. That's the mathematical physics, mathematical part of science or math. It will be the third kind of question. Then reflections and justification. That's the second thing, where They will ask you the deeper insight, and this also will not be part of fifth, sixth, seventh kind of students. But as you go ahead, this will become more important. But there will be that long answer, 4 marks or 6 marks. If you have questions of that kind, they would be about reflection and justification, where they will ask you some experiment, and then experiments inference has to be justified, or some, like in chemistry, they tell you two compounds were mixed, then what would be the result of it. So here you need to understanding. So only remembering points is not sufficient at this point. Understanding of that concept, which your teachers gives you in school, and connecting that to the points is very important. And last one is engaging with the reasoning of others. So this is like project work, or this is like you have SUPW, like socially useful work. So what you learned, how you connect it, or you do some project work. Now in India, we have, in school, we have science, math, and all of them have labs. Even there is a mathematics lab in CBSE schools, and that makes it great because you have to do it collaboratively. And this is the time you start learning about ideas coming from different people and converting it, like making a sand, what do you call, the sand timer, or banana, and then making battery out of it. Such things students do here. I don't know what is the state in schools in US, but this kind of reasoning of others, like coming together and working, it may not be part of your exam directly, but this is now part of the laboratory, which has 20 marks out of 100, and that counts a lot. So I don't know the state in US. I would love to know what happens with your schools when you have exams in 9th and 10th.
So here, ma, they now don't have the exams, like, but
Ninth,
during the
10th?
exams,
Yeah,
but they have a lot of group projects
yeah.
where they
So
have to
that's
collaborate with.
basically the
Yeah,
fifth point. So it's
exactly. Yeah,
important.
yeah.
Okay. So it's important that you put up your points and accept other points. That's where collaborativeness has to come in, and then a lot of ideation should happen. So that's good. So you need to know that only writing answers is not sufficient. Collaborating, discussing, putting your thoughts, and getting new ideas. So that's great. So if they have those project works, then it's a rather better learning which happens to them. Nice. Okay. So this is something which I was telling you again at the beginning, that don't study at a stretch for long hours unless you are enjoying, and it's more like you said, the project work, or you are doing some kind of activity and learning, that's fine. But you should not do continuous. If you have planned for complete study for today, and then no school, no, you are just preparing for exam kind of state, if you are in, then you should have 2 2-hour sessions where you change the subject. More than 2 hours, one subject is not a good thing to do. So use time of peak energy. Now, each child will have different times of peak energy. For some children, when they sleep and wake up in the morning, after they get fresh, the brain is complete. It's a brain energy. I'm not talking about your body's energy. Your brain is well rested and brain is at full energy. If you don't feel that energy in the mornings, it's better to meditate and then reach to peak energy. If your peak energy lasts younger the child, the peak energy levels will be 15 minutes, half an hour to 45 minutes. As you grow elder, your peak energy remains little longer, but that is because you are pushing yourself to that. But actually, the time of peak energy for some people is in the evening, some people it's in the night. We say that once everybody sleeps, I have no disturbance and I can study well. Some people can get up early in the morning and study well. You look at when you feel more comfortable and choose that. Don't copy because somebody is doing and it's working for them, so I'll try to copy and I will be also able to do that better. Doesn't happen. Each person has their own time of peak energy because it depends on how your body has been in the previous day. So for some people it's good to get up in the morning, study and go, but otherwise go night, study full, then sleep, You remember everything after study if you had a good sleep. But if you take tension after studying, if you're not able to sleep well, then that's not your peak energy time. So you'll have to understand your peak energy by studying before exam sometime. And study when your energy levels are high. It could be half an hour, it could be 1 hour, but use that right time of study other than your school time. Your brain will function much better with less number of hours. You will have better output. And study the most difficult subjects when you are in full energy, and the easy subjects which you find, you can study them when you are even feeling dull, because what you like the brain comfortably absorbs very easily, but what you don't like, you and the brain both have to struggle. So what you don't like, you must do when you are fully alert, when you are fully energetic, when your brain is completely happy and functioning. So choose your subjects as per your body's energy. Now, whatever people tell you, taking tension can never get you good results. So staying calm, focused is very, very important. Now, how could you do this? This is possible only if you regularly meditate. And as a child, if you learn to meditate, nothing like it, because right now there are no money problems, there are no issues of maintaining relations, there are no issues of maintaining lot of things at home. You have no tensions externally given. Yes, Dikshita, you want something?
Yeah, do you mind going back to the last slide, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I wish parents can support the children in finding out their peaks and valleys of energy, because you know the child from their birth, and the peaks and valleys remain the same almost for our life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you regularly meditate, if you are doing your study regularly, and if you are not the last minute 11th hour worker kind of person, then you will automatically be calm inside the exam, because this is what matters a lot. If you have done whole year of very hard work, but inside those 3 hours or 2 hours of exam hall, when the exam is on and you are not calm and focused, whatever you studied, the brain will actually become like a blank, totally black box. And many parents come and tell me that when my child is at home, he is studying with me. When I ask the questions, he or she answers very comfortably. But I don't know what happens when he or she goes to exam, writes nothing, or even forgets what he told me at home. So at home, there was a environment which was conducive to your brain. But the exam hall, the environment around there gives you fear. Now, for that, it is essential that you create that kind of examination hall environment at home, practice writing it, but don't have to take that fear that I will forget. So, first of all, you have to have your positive thought process telling yourself, I remember, I have studied well, I am confident, and I will be able to write my exams better. That kind of positive thought process to yourself, eating well, sleeping well, and studying well in advance helps you to be calm and focused inside the exam hall. And that it is in nobody's hand but your hand. That I am confident, calm, and focused inside, because all your 1 year study is exhibited or presented in those 2 hours. And if you are calm and focused there, you perform better than your otherwise performance. There's no comparison between two kids. It's you comparing yourself, how I'm doing better. So now meditate regularly study, focus on your different memory techniques and observe yourself how you were before and what is the change in you. If there is 2% change in your calmness, that's a good thing happening. Take that as a positive feedback and continue. Every small exam, the weekly test, the quarterly test, or whatever kind of test you take up, or whatever kind of activity the teacher tells you to do in class, you should experience the same calm and focus. It doesn't need to have an exam, but you examine yourself. It will allow you to stay calm and focused all through your life. So now, how to write the answers inside the answer paper. Now you may have exam anytime in your life, but these techniques help you whenever you take up. So you may take up some competitive exams, you may take up some kind of Olympiad, so word Olympiad, math Olympiad, science Olympiad. You can take up such online exams are also available just to test yourself where you stand at your capacity. So first thing is, do not write answers telling that I have written 10 pages, 15 pages. Many students come and tell outside that I have written whatever number of blank pages they gave, I have filled everything. You filling the number of pages is not what matters, but what is inside that is matters. So use lot of words which you regularly see in your textbook. We call them as high frequency words. That means they are the ones which appear while you read the text more often. They are the ones which the teacher will look inside the answer saying that yes, this child has understood that these points are important and you put it in. Next is, do not use short forms or contractions in a good answer. So we are used to today SMS language, we are used to today WhatsApp language, and that is not something which you should use while writing the answer. And we suggest that you don't write can't, but write cannot, or even small things matter there because it is not a good way of writing short forms or abbreviations inside. You may use them as mnemonics, but while writing it, you must write it incomplete because that is a good articulation, that's a good way of writing. And use precise and concise words. Don't write I mean and I thought and lot of elaboration. Not too much of explanation is required there. Appropriate word usage makes very good answer. And in last is, your writing should be such that the teacher should feel that you have understood. You should not scratch too many times. You should not put too much of clumsiness. You write something and then realize that you have forgotten. Go and write overwriting. All such things. Tell the teacher. See, I'm telling you how a teacher looks at your answer is. You are not clear in your thoughts. You are not writing it properly. So clumsiness, dirty way of writing, not presenting it properly will be assumed by the teacher as not understood well. And words and diagrams, appropriate proportion. So draw the diagram which you have learned using picture reading in the size, and beside that write the explanation of it appropriately so that it should not be too big a diagram or too small a diagram and a lot of text around it. So that positioning should be put properly depending on how many marks it has on that. Okay, so one example how you would write an answer. If you have written the answer and there are some point structure in your mind, what are the important points which you are explaining? Those ones you underline nicely. You can highlight them. What are your sub points or sub points? You nicely put, you write it neatly and underline for the teacher to say that these are the ones I actually want to tell you, and around that I have written, I have articulated it, but these are the ones which you should be looking inside my answer. So you are presenting to the teacher a gift like and covering it very nicely with the way of highlighting it or underlining it. So special note or underlined text, the examiner's attention goes quickly and they don't have to read everything what you have written, but they will check that what you have specified is the correct thing. So you must have written around it very nicely. They will read, but they'll put attention to what you have specified to the teacher. Please read this. But while doing this, make sure that you don't do too much of underlining. Otherwise, the teacher has to read everything is underlined is not what. So don't mess up by making it bold, underline. Decoration is not colors are required, but appropriate information to the examiner is given. It makes it very easy. Then subjects like history, civics, geography, you have to give good amount of details and facts. Don't write in your own way whatever you feel. You must give facts. And if you have done the point structure, if you have the brain map, you will find when you look at the question, the answer will actually flash in your mind very comfortably and you will be able to respond it. Sorry, it's the same thing. Yeah. So you study subject by subject, but one subject for 6 hours is not what you should do. You should separate 2 hours of one subject is a good way of cutting it in. Use flashcards for definitions and spellings. Use practice maps for brain maps for those which topics which you find are most important or teacher has told you that they are important or you have pre-knowledge that this looks to be important and I will need it ahead. You can make the brain maps at least for those subjects. And those who are in 10th class who will have board exams, solve previous year papers, sample papers and start practicing it, writing it within the word limits, sentences, lines, all that matters because 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark, 4 mark, whatever number of marks, double the number of lines you have to write. That's the general standard. So those who are 6, 7, 8, you don't have to worry much. But those who are writing board exams, they must practice so that your brain gets habituated to the environment. You may not write all the answers correctly. That's not what matters, but habituating your brain for that environment matters. And finally, it is important you prioritize your subjects and topics as per what is more important as far as exam. If you are finally studying for the exam as a revision, otherwise you must study everything fully. Okay. So read the question paper first. This is my suggestion to all the students. If at all you have exam anytime in life, you should not read the first question and start writing. If there are 10 questions in the question paper, you should take a 5 minutes break before starting to write the answers. You should read the whole question paper, assess in your mind which ones your brain is shooting, this I know, this I know. You plan it and then start writing. That gives you a nice time to settle down in your environment of exam and allows you your brain to start popping out the answers which you have already studied. So structure your answer well, like I told you, underline, decide what points you want and elaborate it. Yeah, so now what you have studied. Yes, you want
Can I-
me to go back?
Read once more. Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, thank you.
Yeah, so I am now giving you a rough plan before exam, how you can plan your revision, those who are into immediate exam importance. Others need not worry much about it, but still have understanding. When your time comes, you will be able to put it. So you can take subject-wise combination. You should not put one subject whole week through because your brain needs a change. And change is the most important thing for brain. It needs a pause, it needs a push. So you can plan like 2 days I study language, 2 days I study social studies, 2 days I study science, and Sunday I put maths. Now this depends on which is most difficult subject for you, put it first, or which day you start accordingly. But I wish you split it over number of days. So this is assuming that you're not going to study full day, but you're going to school and having some time in the evening or morning to study the subject. So spread it over is something very important. And on a particular, now this is the plan which you did as a larger scale plan. Now on Monday, suppose you want to study, how would you put your day? I'm assuming that the school is 10 to 5. This is a day schedule we are going to do. Before going to school, what you do is you wake up, get ready, put yourself a good amount of 1 hour for freshing up, do your yoga exercise, brain gym. It's important that you do it even on exam days. Then review the completed point structure on previous. So mornings you should use for review, evenings you should use for practice. That's the general suggestion. So recitation of tables, formulas is what you can do. You can review, and then by 10 o'clock you go to sleep. If you have to wake up at 6, you should have that 10 to 6, 7 to 8 hours of good sleep. Sorry, this is the morning, sorry. At 10 o'clock you have to go to school, so you finish everything between 9, 10. If you have to travel, you may have to modify some amount of time here. 10 to 5, we are not saying anything because you are going to school. So after you come back from school, immediately sitting for study is a wrong thing to do. Your brain is already tired. Even if you feel you have not done anything, you have been into an activity of being with people. So that doesn't allow you to be feeling relaxed. So you must have some recreation. Even if you don't have, please do not use this playtime on computer. It must be a physical activity which allows you to have lot of toxin sending out. Yes, Rishikesh, you have something to ask?
What if school starts at 8?
Yeah. So accordingly, you don't do few things in the morning. So you do only your wake up. You may wake up little early, do your yoga exercise. Exercise you may do in the evening. Do your yoga and brain gym in the morning. Okay, so the all review everything you may have to do it in the evening. Okay. Yeah, so you take a break after coming from school. It should be toxin removing kind of play. It must be being with nature, having a lot of oxygen as much possible, having a lot of relaxation. It's not about sitting at one place and playing video games or computer games. That is rather straining your brain more, not relaxing. So playtime is not on computer, but physical. Then you do your homework, and new reading you must do after your recreation. So a homework you do, because that's important to be done within first 24 hours, whatever teacher, if there is homework. If there is no homework, it's better to do new reading immediately after you had your recreation. Do comprehension, point structure, brain map, whatever, or whatever way you want to write question answers, all that you can put it. Now, those, as you said, Rishikesh, if you have school early in the morning, you have more time in the evening because you will come back from school around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. Then you use that afternoon time for doing the review, then play, and then new reading. But new reading must be done as close to your sleep time. Okay, because in sleep, actually brain works a lot on what you have read. We think when we sleep, we are doing nothing. But I'll tell you, brain is much more active in sleep if you have done the new reading or important reading just before sleeping. It becomes much easier because all the connection forming brain does in sleep. So new learning should be done just before sleeping is the best thing. Okay, so let's revise the brain exercise. We have not done it for last 2 weeks.
Mom, can you please show the second last and the last one?
Yes, you can. This is a sample. You will have to tailor make it depending on your school timings, and it can change depending on the amount of time you have to travel, come back, and what kind of play time you have, everything. So though I
Ma'am, asking for the last one before this one. I'm asking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. No, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. So all of you keep your video on. It's long time we have not done brain exercise. 2 sessions we have missed it. So let's do it once for today so that you keep doing them. And if you do this brain exercise regularly, your logical and emotional, the creative brain will always be in sync and you will perform better in various. Yeah, Rishikesh has already started with, you know, the point at which you have to hold now, right? So twist it 10 times clockwise, 10 times anti-clockwise. You do it yourself, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn around to clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The next one, you put 2 fingers, the index finger and the thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The middle finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The ring finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next one, you put the knuckles in and then press. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. Do it second time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The next one, you do the namaskara. You should touch the bottom of your palm. Make sure your shoulders are in line. And then 1, 2, 3, give the pressure on this part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open it. Put the pressure on the fingers. Rishikesh, open it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The namaskara. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The namaskara. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is one which I'm going to teach you, new one. This is something which is a bit difficult. So I'll share a video of one of the students done it. Some of you may be knowing about it. So on the right hand, you use the thumb. On the left hand, you use the little finger and touch it like this. Okay, observe it once. Now next, what you have to do is, you have to close the thumb, close the little finger, open the thumb of the other hand and change. Now close and change. Close and change. And you have to do it as quickly as possible. Okay, you got it? So first we'll open the right hand thumb and the left hand little finger, and you get a small point here which is coming up. So this point you have to touch by the thumb, sorry, the little finger. Press it here. Yes, Janvi, you have some doubt?
So is it just like, touching at the, where you're showing
Yes,
no
this point you
pressure?
have to touch.
Okay.
No much pressure. But
Okay,
the
it's
whole
not
thing
inserting
is,
in the fist.
no,
Okay, it's
no,
just
no,
touching.
it's not inserting. It's just touching, which the point comes out here is the elongation.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, so done. First, keep the right thumb out. Always the thumb is out. Change. So you have to take the thumb in and change. The right hand now has a little finger. Left hand thumb comes out. Change. Yeah, the brain will confuse, and that confusion is something which actually exercising. Okay, change. 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 See the thumb, something will come out like this will happen. So now keep looking at it and keep changing. Okay, as quickly you do, as faster your left right brain will coordinate. You look at it and do. Don't look at me now. Don't look at the screen. You look at your fingers. You don't have to move your hands like this. They should be at one place only, and you have to just keep changing them. Yeah, Rishikesh, you don't have to travel your hands so much. Yeah, this is little tricky and difficult. The others were simply on pressure. Okay. I'll send a video of this in the group. One of the students has done it very quickly and explained it also. Okay. This is very important for those who have a lot of dullness. Whenever you feel very dull, you don't want to study, you don't want to do anything. There is a time in the day when you just get bored. You do this, your brain totally becomes alert and you can do a lot of things better. This we have done. So you press the index finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The middle finger, middle knuckle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rishikesh, do it. The third, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The little finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, the index finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The middle finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The ring finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The little finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now rub your hands. Rub your hands. Just make it heated up. Now stand up and we are going to do super brain yoga. Stand up. Cross your right hand will hold the left ear. You can hold it fully. Those who cannot reach can cross it like this. And you are going to sit in, when I say 1, you squat down. Then don't sit fully, but it's only in squatting position. 1, sit down, stand up. Sit, stand. Do it 15 times. Count and do it 15 times. But keep straight. Don't bend forward. You must go down straight. That's very important. This actually increases your brain's capacity to store. It increases your wisdom. It increases and it multiplies the dendrites. It multiplies the capacity to store the information. Okay, so that's why it is called super brain yoga. If you can't do any other exercise, at least do this exercise daily in the morning. Okay. Yes, Rishikesh, we are done. Please sit down. The last one, this is not that you have to do regularly, but if you have any one of these before exam or in general, worry, fear, anger, grief, or you are having pretension kind of feeling, you are trying to show somebody something, a particular finger which is shown here. Before doing that, you have to take your index finger and press the center, because that is a trigger. It puts the energy around. Once you have pressed the source of energy, now if you feel you have fear, which is a very common experience of children, you must take the index finger and press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now do to the other hand. Press the center first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and press the index finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. You can do it 3, 4 times if there is a little deeper feeling. 2, 3 times is good enough. You will start, your brain will actually start secreting the juice where the fear slowly starts disappearing. Okay. So now we have done the revision of almost everything. So I wish you use as many flashcards, posters, brain maps. Let your room look like a study room for yourself. So for your short-term memory, you repeat that I have to remember, I have to remember. But for long-term memory, you remember to repeat the text. So the more the repetition, long-term is easier to remember. Picturization is, visualization is a very, very important technique for being able to articulate. If you are able to do visualization from the picture which you have put in your brain, you will be able to write the answers, you will be able to say out, you will be able to present it very beautifully. Next is learn the same thing again and again. Study the subject each day rather than focusing on one or two subjects. Have two subjects if you feel you have done. This is about revision. First time study, do one subject a day, but revision, don't do whole subject in a day. Then review the information periodically. I remember the forgetting curve. First 24 hours, then 10 days, then 30 days, 60 days, and 365 days. If you do the revision regularly, it will be easier. So don't do cramming in the last minute. Studying everything is the one which gives you a lot of pressure. So those who say tomorrow, 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 they'll be in this state. If you say I'll complete today bit by bit, it's much easier. End of the exam, before exam, you are not having such kind of cramming of information to be pushed into your brain. And don't do multitasking when you study. Either you put your concentration, that I told you very beginning, that all five senses should be put on to study. The concentration happens when sensory memory is completely aware about what you are reading, you are listening to yourself, you are seeing, smelling, everything. Information going to brain is about your study. If you want to eat, 10 minutes you take eating time, then you study. It's about, for parents also, don't allow or don't push children to eat when they are studying. You ask them to take a break, ask them to eat for 10 minutes, they can continue to study. But many of us as parents say that while you are studying, in between you can eat. But that is a block to the memory, because the sensory memory goes in sequential and is a hurdle to the remembering process. So please don't do multitasking. And remember that we are what we repeatedly do. So if you tell yourself, I am good at studying, I like reading, I like music, whatever you tell yourself, you will be slowly becoming excellent in that. But it is all about making it a habit. Excellence is not that somebody is born with. Excellence is not about performing it once. Excellence is about doing it regularly and making it a habit. So if you want to be a good student, habit of studying is very, very important. So finally, take regular breaks. I'll tell you what kind of breaks you should take. This is very important for parents as well as children. You must take a 5-minute break in which you can do stretching, because when in a posture of study, it becomes your body is into one particular way. It is, you must get up, do kind of stretching for 2-3 minutes, drink a glass of water, do deep breathing. Sunilji today taught you the Sukha Pranayam, the inhale exhale from left right nostril. That's the best thing to do when you want to just relax yourself. At one point you sit, do that, go out, just do little walking. If you want to take a little longer break, step away from your study position where you are sitting, which is your study place. You move out, go and sit somewhere else. You can walk. You have done 2 to 3 hours of good study. Then read something for fun, or watch something on your mobile, or something where you go away from what you have read. Going away after reading is a very, very important thing. Many a times we don't do that. Parents also make a habit that after you finish, child has finished studying, then you start asking them questions about the same thing. Then it is an extension of the study and the brain doesn't get a break. So at that time is not something which should ask the revision. But after 2-3 hours of study, you have a break, you eat something, you drink, you walk, you do pranayam, you do yoga, whatever you do, and half an hour break. While you are sitting relaxed, you can ask the questions to your child about what they studied, what they like, what are the important points, and that revision becomes very important for the brain to make connections and increase the dendrites, which is very, very other. Myelin sheet will also get increased if that kind of revision support is there from parents. But such breaks are very important. And children who are in tropical, like whose temperatures are beyond body temperatures and the room temperature. So if you are inside a heater also, outside may be cold, but you are in a temperature which is about 25 degrees, you can take 1 glass of water per hour. You don't have to drink the full glass of water, but sip the water. We say Achamanaya in Hindu philosophy. Every puja before we'll do Achamanaya. That little sip of water going into the body actually cleanses and removes lots of toxins which are formed by even thinking. Thinking creates lots of toxins. We don't think about it, but thinking is rather, because the brain has lot of waste of memory which is to be forgotten, brain sends it out as toxin. So after reading, after studying, you must have a glass of water or a glass of lemon juice or fruit juice or buttermilk, something which hydrates your body is very important. It throws away the toxins which are created by the brain, which is to be thrown out. Okay, so eat food which supports your brain and body. Understand why are you eating. Don't eat because your senses want or because you like to eat. You should eat that, no problem about it. Whatever you like also you should eat. But along with that, you should eat for your brain food. So whatever Sunilji has told, that should be part of your food, should be what is required for brain. Drink at least 8 glasses of water. Now that glass need not be 200 ml. If you are in a temperature where you can have 5 ml, 10 ml, 20 ml, depending on what kind of temperatures you are in, but you eat it, drink in intervals. At a time, drinking lot of water is not good for brain. So remember that what you eat is what your body is. So lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, lots of pranic food, lots of nuts, lots of protein is good for your body and brain. Important thing to remember is your brain and your gut have a big relationship. How your gut is, how your brain will be. How your brain is, it instructs your gut to be like that. And that's why we say, I feel to eat something. And don't do a drama about it. Like just because your parents are not giving and you are demanding, saying, my brain is asking for it, will not work. But your brain sends signals that I right now need this, need that. Your stomach and brain are very closely related to each other. But on a full stomach, you can't study well. On an empty stomach, you can't study well. So you should have little food and then study. After study, complete the meal. So it's better to have food in small proportions when you are planning to study. Eat little, study. After study, eat something. That's very important. That releases the stress of study also very nicely. And what you eat before and what you eat after is the plan which your parents can do, so that whatever they want you to eat fully is split into 2 or 3 times of meals. You can eat between your study also, no problem, but at a time either you eat or you study. That's very important. Okay, so don't get pressure of all what I have taught you. Lots of things, mnemonics, point structure, flashcards, brain maps, so many things are there in. Because you have learned all this, don't take pressure of it, but have an environment of study created for yourself. And that's your responsibility to have an environment which is conducive for your brain. Now, it could be with your parents, it could be by yourself, however, but have an environment which supports your study. This is very important. That doesn't mean you have to buy a lot of instruments, you have to have a separate room, nothing necessarily like that, but you decide that this is the way I will be comfortable to study and make that environment, because your brain needs that habituation of that environment, and brain automatically knows this is now place to study and I should start functioning. Just like you have a dining room where a dining table on a bed where you sleep, you don't take your plate and eat. because that's the place your brain knows that it's a place to sleep. Dining table is a place which you know where these places are very important because brain is like a machine. It has its own way of understanding where is what and the timing, everything the brain is very perfect with. So decide your time, decide your place, decide your environment. Brain just smoothly gets into the study pattern and remembers things what you study in that time very comfortably. So thank you from my side for listening to me and Sunil ji for last 10 sessions, and all the best wishes for all of you in your future endeavors as study whatever you want to do. We'll always be together. We will be there with you, whatever your doubts, queries, anytime in the group. This group will remain for next till we start another batch. So whatever your doubts, you can post it in this group. And we will have after a month or two discussing with Jannavi ma'am one revision session where we will listen from you and we'll teach you few new things because whatever we have taught you now, there is the knowledge is like ocean. There's lot to learn, but to your requirement, we have given you the best. So thank you from my side and Sunilji's side to all the parents, all the kids for being with us patiently and participating in these sessions with your full interest. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we'll do the prayer. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
I think Sahiti was raising hand or Sahiti was counting something. I saw her fingers. Yeah. Okay.
So if no doubts, we'll do the prayer because yesterday we have spoken to your parents. They have told us that you are doing it nicely, but they expect you to continue what you have been doing and wish that you perform better in whatever further you take up. Okay. So let's do the prayer. Oh. 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 Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So good day, good night, different time zones, and enjoy your study. Henceforth, we'll be together.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
I just had a thought. If they can use this brain gym, like all these things, finger point,
Yes.
and as a fidget toy also in the daytime, right, in the school, because instead of doing that, they can just use that. Especially, I was thinking that I will use it because sometimes I have the whole day meetings and everything.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It
So
is
thank you so
must
much.
wonder. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a question.
Yes, please.
Could you post the PowerPoint in Google Classroom?
All these PowerPoints?
Yeah.
No, I can't be sharing. It's my property.
Oh,
Yeah, you need any specific thing, I can share it.
okay.
Yeah,
Can you just share the gym slide?
brain gym, yes. Okay, brain gym.
Yeah. I was also thinking that, for my office, like at my computer near my desk, I'll print all the brain gyms so that I'll also remember to practice this.
I'll
So,
share
yeah.
that. Brain gym, I'll put
Very
it in
good
the room
question,
as
Rishikesh.
well. Thank
Yes.
you. I'll
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good point. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Ma'am.
Rujita, yeah, you have something to say? Rituja?
No, ma'am. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.